כל השנה הלכות בכל יום מובטח לו שהוא בן העולם הבא. בעזרת השם, today is the 27th of Kislev, Baruch Hashem, Yom Revi'i, Wednesday before Parashat Miketz. We will do B'ezrat Hashem the mitzvah number 149 and 150. First mitzvah is going to be discussing that a Cohananim are prohibited to going in to Beit HaMikdash with Gidulei Sa'ar, with long hair. As it says in the Torah, Gidulei Sa'ar, כמו שעשו האבלים, כלומר שלא יגדלו שערותיהם. So the Kohanim wanted right away the reference of growing your hair long. The first thing the Chinuch tells us, it is actually for people who are in mourning state, grow out their hair. So I don't know how the whole world today is walking around with their long hairs, and it's a sign of mourning. It says in the Pasuk Sheneimar in chapter 10, Pasuk Vav, Roshechem al Tefri'u. You're not allowed to let your hair grow wild. It says in the Torah. Ve'amar Targum lo tirbum peru'a. The explanation is the hair should not be spreading around like wildness. Like you see today, youngsters, you see the first sign of rebellion, a child who makes his hair loose, chuchka over there, a whole pouch. You could actually get lost in the forest over there in the front of their hair and how they make it loose. This is exactly what we're talking about. This is not allowed, and this is the first sign of mourning. I don't know if rebellion, but a first sign of mourning. I don't know why a person, obviously the youngsters are a little bit mindless people, and they don't understand that they're actually summoning on themselves kochot of ra'ah, of chas v'shalom mourning earlier than they need to. Ve'yecheskel hanavi v'amar hatargum lo tivrabum peruah. Hanavi bi'er, the Yecheskel Hanavi in the chapter 44 in Yecheskel, Pasuk 20, it explains more. Upera lo yishlchu, kmo ken ne'emar b'metzorah. And it says over there, you should not send out wildness of your hair. And it says also in Metzorah in chapter 13, Pasuk 45, V'rosho yeh parua. The Metzorah, the person who is in a state of disregard or disgrace, disparagement, that person makes his hair wild. ואמרו בספרה יגדיל פרע, בלשון ספרה עוד ראשיכם אל תפרעו אל תגדלו פרע. So again, you see many references in the Torah, the person who lets his hair loose, like the wildness of today, as you see that is all from Kochot Tomah. There is no discussion and no ends, ifs or buts about it. It's a Kochot Tomah. Especially our children, our youngsters, growing their hair wildly, and according to Torah, it is something disgraceful and degraded. But again, if you tell this to the youngster will tell you go fly a kite. What a gang, start calling you names. Even though, again, we are people who are trying to gain Yirat Shamayim, who grow in Hashem's Torah and obviously come closer to Him. And you see that this is something that is disgraceful, having too much long hair. We already explained earlier in the Kohen Gadol that there is a prohibition to make long hair also. The Kohen has to Kohen Gadol would take a haircut every Friday before Shabbat, every week. So not to have this problem of the hair growing a little bit more than they need to be. ועולם נכפלה כדי שלא נחשוב מה שאמר לאלעזר ותמר ראשיכם אל תפרעו שיהיה מצד האמת בלבד. So the reason why the Torah is now repeating this, even though it says by Kohen Gadol, so you might think that there was an instance where Aaron and Kohen Gadol, their brother, Aaron's two children died, and Aaron's and Elazar's two brothers died. So you might think that was the prohibition only in the time of mourning, that they shouldn't grow their hair. No. In order not to make that mistake, the Torah came to teach us this over here also. So you might think only the mourners should not cut their hair, but no, even the Kohanim should make sure to cut their hair every instance. So the Kohanim obviously is talking about 30 days, and not more than 30 days. A Kohen cannot go without a haircut without more than 30 days. And we're talking about the entire hair, not just the sideburns and loose hair here behind the ears. We're talking about the entire head head cannot have more than a month growth of hair, so it has to be constantly trimmed down. על כן יתבהר וכהן גדול שזה בשביל העבודה הוא שיצוו השם להסתפר. However, the Kohen Gadol has to be every week because every week there's a new mishmar, there's a new change of guard, so to speak, new family of Kohanim coming in, so they should see the beauty of the Kohen Gadol, the ones that are coming in afternoon on Shabbos, the next group that will be serving in Beit HaMikdash next week. They should not be they should not look at the Kohen Gadol disrespectful manner, and he has to be. And we know that haircut is one of the ways that shows off a person's beauty and careness and all that. Now, however, with all that said, the beards were not touched. We have to understand that many people make a misunderstanding. The beard, zakan is not what the Torah wants you to touch. The beard, it will tell you zakan. If it tells you the hair, which means on the head, the head hair does not mean zakan. It does not mean this is the beauty of a man. The longer the beard, according to Zohar, the beard of the person should not be ever touched. Why are we trimming it? Unfortunately, we have wives that are too young and they don't understand that yet. Hopefully soon that Eitzer Hara will go out of them and let their husbands loose. Those are happy, their husbands that understand that their wives understand them and don't bother them with not touching their beards. But the whole parnasah, the whole shefa, is beauty. The glory of a man is in his beard and in his head. And the beautiful, that's the first thing you see when you see a human being. So that's important. Mishasha mitzvah hu hagdalat habayit, kemo she'amarnu lima'ala. So of course, one of the most prevalent and the reasons why we have this mitzvah is the importance of the Beit HaMikdash, and we don't want the Kohanim to chas v'shalom to be walking in there in disgraceful manner, loose. It has to be all tip top. It has to be look beautiful, and that's how they still perform and service in the Beit HaMikdash. The rabbi says over here, Dinei mitzvah kegon ma shamru, as we already explained many details how to perform this mitzvah. And Kohen, let's say a Kohen that transgresses and goes into Beit HaMikdash without cutting his hair, what do we do with him? So the Ramban actually argues on Rambam and says no, that the main Isur is not going into the Beit HaMikdash with long hair. Main Isur of serving, doing avodah in Beit HaMikdash. So that's the machloket between Rambam. Rambam says you're not allowed to go into the Beit HaMikdash. Ramban says you're not allowed to do actual service with long hair. Now, what happens if the Kohen does perform the service? However, the rabbi says, the avodah is not going to be puzzled. However, he has transgressed the king's command. Okay, let's say it right here. מנוהגת בזמן הבית, בזכרי כהונה, ועובר אליה ונכנס למקדש פרוע ראש, כלומר, אחר שגידל שערו 30 יום ועוד ועבד שם. So again, if a Kohen goes ahead and grows over his hair for more than 30 days, he goes in there after 30 days, and after 30 days not cutting his hair, goes in and does performance of a service. Chayav mita b'idei shamayim, Hashem will murder this Kohen. Shenimar Rasheichem al tefra'u v'lo tamutu. It says over there that I will not kill you if you behave properly in the Beit HaMikdash. Since this Kohen has defiled the commandment of the king, and he went inside Beit HaMikdash without concern or fear of Hashem, and therefore he will be killed by in the Beit HaMikdash. So that's the halakha we already discussed between Rambam and Rabban. If it's talking about doing specifically the service or even going into the Beit HaMikdash is a problem. Okay, Mitzvah Kuf Nun 150. Shelo yikansu haKohanim leMikdash keruim begdadim. Of course, obviously, the next little rule is the Kohanim are not allowed to enter the Beit HaMikdash with ripped clothing. Shelo yikansu haKohanim leMikdash keruim begdadim. Shneimar, as it says in chapter 10 Vayikra, Pasuk Vav 6. ובגדיכם לא תפרמו, and their clothing should not be ripped. בירוש אל תקרעו בגדיכם, don't rip your clothing. נכפלה מניעה זו בכהן גדול. So too, we already learned the reference to Kohen Gadol, as we already understand that he is a pinnacle of the epitome of the Jew, of the Kohanim, and he has to be looking perfect. So you might think only him. No. שנאמר, okay, וכפר המניעה בו בפני תוספת דבר שבו. The Torah specifically speaks about Kohen Gadol, that there is obviously more elevation by him, but still any Kohen. Especially over there, we're talking about where people used to, at the time of mourning, we ripped the begדים. So even Kohen Gadol over there, when his mother dies, right? In those instances, even he is not allowed to be not permitted, not allowed to rip his clothes. אפילו לא בשעת עבודה, ואמרו בספרה, ראשו לא יפרוע ובגדיו לא יפרום, על מתו כדרך שבני אדם פורעין ופורמין, על מתיהן הקץ כהן גדול, פורם הדיוט מלמעלה. Okay, so again, the Kohen has to, the Kohen Gadol, even for his near dead individuals, cannot be mourning in certain instances. B'shoshan mitzvah, the rules and the regulations of the mitzvah, the foundation, כתוב בפריית ראש, הקודם לזה, ודין פרוע ראשי וקורא בגדים, שווים בכל דיניהם. Obviously the same thing we're talking about when the person grows his hair too much or he rips his clothing, is a degradation and there's no honor in that, and therefore we are, the foundation is the same thing, just like in growing your hair. You're not allowed to do that, you're not allowed to come into Beit HaMikdash with ripped clothing. מדיני המצווה, מה שאמרו זכרונו לברכה, שחייב קריאה זו היא שתהיה כמו קריאה שקוראים על המתים. This is specifically talking about where the ripping on the dead, on the mourning, on the dead body. That's talking about זו היא שתהיה כמו קריאה, okay, מן הדומה שהוא טפח. And we're talking about that the opening of the clothing of ripping has to be at least a טפח about 4 inches. שכן אמרו במועד קטן, as it says over there in the Gemara, במועד קטן, 22nd page, עמוד ב', שאין קריאה פחותה מטפח ויותר פרטי מבורים. So now we're not talking about the little tear, we're talking about that has to be seeable, that is prohibited. I mean, understandably, even a little bit, I don't understand where does tefach come from, but even a little bit should not be ripped. Of course, if we are talking about the beauty and the glory of Kohen performing service in Beit HaMikdash, I don't know how he could come in with anything. But again, נגד בזמן הבית, בזכרי כהונה, this mitzvah is specifically in the time of Beit HaMikdash, and male כהנים, ועובר עליה ונכנס למקדש מן המזבח ולפנים, קרוא בגדים, והעבד חייב מיתה בידי שמיים. Again, same thing, if a person walked inside the Beit HaMikdash and performed services with ripped clothing, he will be punished with the death from heaven. ואם לא עבד, הרי הוא בעזרה ולוקה. However, if he didn't do any performance, since he walked in, the rabbi says here, with the clothing that are ripped, he does get lashed. וזהו לדעת הרמב"ם, according to רמב"ם, זכרונו לברכה. אבל לדעת רמב"ם, זכרונו לברכה, אין מלכות מנכנס למקדש, קראו בגדים. Say same thing to the Rambam, and the Rambam again argue here that there is no malkut. Rambam says by just walking in. The whole isur is service. Since you didn't do service, אבל אם עבד והוא קרוע בגדים לוקה, לפי מה שכתב בשם בעל הלכות. So I guess if the person goes into the Beit HaMikdash and does service according to Ramban, he would get lashed according to the Rabbanan. Right? He goes against the Rabbanan. The lashes of the Rabbanan could be more severe, as we learned already before, than the Oraita. The Oraita was only 39. The Oraita, according to Torah, the punishment is mugbal. According to Torah, the punishment is limited, 39 and no more. According to Rabbanan, it's until the person says, I will not perform this Avirah anymore. Kidai to mention over here the importance of a Talmid Chacham, a person who represents Torah. It doesn't mean a person, Rabbi Ovadia Yosef, it doesn't mean Rabbi Makel Kotler, it does not mean, Talmid Chacham does not mean that. Many people misunderstand. Talmid Chacham means a person who comes to learn Beit Midrash, who opens up a sefer, knows how to open the Gemara. Even a child at 8 years old and none already, who knows how to open a daf, a page, what you tell him to open to, it's considered to be Talmid Chacham according to the Gemara. And obviously, there's many mekorot for it, that the importance of individual who represents Torah to look beautiful at all times. The Gemara says, Talmid Chacham who has a little ketem, has a little stain on his clothing, he is chayav mitah. According to Shamayim, he is going to be punished with death. A person is not allowed to show himself in public if he is not 100% looking beautiful with his clothing specifically. Chafetz Chaim's son once asked him, showed him a little stain on his body, on his jacket, And he says to Chafetz Chaim, when the Gemara says, Talmid Chacham who has a stain on his jacket, am I considered part of that? Chafetz Chaim looked at him with a smile and says, you considered for that enough. Meaning, again, to teach us, when the Gemara says, whoever supports the Talmid Chacham, obviously it's not talking about Rav Ovadia Yosef, it's not talking about Rabbi Markel Kotler, everybody would run to support him. The Gemara promises in Masechta Brachot that if a person supports Talmid Chacham, he will have as if he has done korbanot that day. What is, obviously it's not talking about Rav Ovadia, because everybody's going to do that. Why would I need such a big reward for that? So Elohim Ken, we're going to explain with Rabbeinu Shach. I believe the story goes in the early 1900s when he was in a shtetl with no shoes, and he used to come in. He would walk without, with ripped shoes, and nobody would care. And there was a gvir over there who did not care for him. And the story goes later on when he became famous. He came back to the shtetl, came back to the Europe, to the same town. That gvir, that rich man, came running to greet the rabbi to give him housing. And the rabbi says, "No, I'm not going to stay by you, because when I was young, and when you had the mitzvah opportunity to take care of me, you said no. You didn't want to take care of a little youngster." So Talmid Chacham does not mean Rav Ovadia Yosef, Rabbeinu Shach, or Rav Markel Kotler. Talmid Chacham means anyone who learns Torah, and there's an obligation upon every Jew. It's incumbent on every Jew to support Talmidei Chachamim, and Bezrat Hashem. That's how far we know. Also here, that already Talmid Chacham has to be very careful, since he's in that gather, Agdara. This is in that already image where he has to be taken care of by the Jewish people. That means they must look up on him. And if you're in that level that the people look up on you because you're learning Torah, you're obligated to represent Hashem at all times, look beautiful, presentable, and without any stains or dirt. Have a wonderful day.